All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This week, we're going to be talking about crypto.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
you want to know what's going on with Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
It's staying strong,
Right.
but everything else seems to be kind of lagging behind.
Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating paradox.
Hmm.
Bitcoin seems almost unfazed
Yeah.
by this massive liquidation event, the biggest in crypto history.
I know.
And
It's like,
altcoins are
yeah.
just struggling to
Yeah.
gain any traction.
What is up fueling Bitcoin's resilience?
Well, one thing we see
Yeah.
is record-breaking outflows from exchanges.
Mm.
And this suggests what we call a hodling mentality
Right.
among whales and long-term investors.
Yeah, they're just like,
They're not selling,
yeah,
no matter what.
just keeping it.
Absolutely.
I mean, even Michael Saylor
right.
and MicroStrategy.
Yeah, he just bought another 7,633 Bitcoin
It's crazy.
during this very episode,
While we were recording this.
which brings their total to over 140,000.
So does that
that's
mean
good.
that institutional interest is what's keeping Bitcoin stable?
I think it's a plausible theory.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as more institutions come in,
Right.
it could bring a level of maturity and stability
Okay.
that has been previously lacking.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Politics.
Huh?
And Trump.
Okay.
How is that affecting all this?
Well, the situation is quite multifaceted.
Like, okay.
There are definitely potential upsides.
Like what?
There's talk of reviving the FIT-21 bill,
Hmm.
which would introduce more clarity and a favorable tax environment.
Okay.
There are also some talks of relaxing restrictions on banking services for crypto
That's
companies.
huge.
That could be a game changer in terms of wider adoption.
Right. But then you've got
Yeah.
those tariffs on steel and aluminum.
Well, markets generally dislike uncertainty,
Right.
and the possibility of a trade war with China is definitely creating anxiety.
Yeah.
Then there's the talk of a potential U.S. sovereign wealth fund,
Right.
and how that might interact with the crypto market is anyone's guess at this point.
So it's really kind of a mixed bag.
I think that's a fair assessment. What will be crucial is to see how these political pronouncements translate into concrete actions and regulatory changes. How those unfold will likely have a significant impact on market sentiment and investor behavior moving forward. One thing's for sure, the political landscape will continue to be a major force shaping the crypto world.
So we talked about Bitcoin and we talked about Trump.
Right.
But what about altcoins?
Yeah.
They seem to be really struggling right now.
Well, the sources point to a few potential explanations. One idea is that the influx of institutional money through Bitcoin ETFs might be drawing capital away from altcoins.
They're putting all their money into Bitcoin.
It's almost as if investors are saying, Bitcoin is the safe bet. For now, we'll see about the rest later.
Right. And then maybe later on down the line, that's when they'll start moving into the altcoins, because that liquidation event really hit the altcoins hard.
It did.
So will there be another alt season?
That's the question, isn't it?
I mean, what do you think?
Well, some analysts believe that the factors limiting altcoin growth are temporary.
Oh, wait.
They point to historical patterns and suggest that once Bitcoin stabilizes, capital will start flowing back into altcoins, leading to a surge in their value.
So you're saying once Bitcoin kind of peaks, then that's when the altcoins will start to...
That's the general idea, yes.
Okay, but
Uh.
others say that this is
what?
more of a long-term trend.
Other analysts believe this might be indicative of a longer-term trend.
Okay.
They argue that the crypto market is maturing and investors are becoming more discerning in their choices.
Okay.
Bitcoin, with its established track record and growing institutional adoption, is seen as a safer bet in this environment.
So for someone listening, what does this mean for their altcoins?
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's no easy answer. It really comes down to your individual risk tolerance, your investment goals, and how much research you're willing to do.
Yeah. Let's talk about meme coins.
Yeah, meme coins.
It seems like everybody's talking about them these days.
It really underscores the speculative nature of the crypto market.
I mean, you've got Dave Portnoy.
Right.
You've got President Trump.
Mhm.
I mean, what?
On one hand, it's a testament to the power of online communities and viral trends.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it raises ethical concerns about potential market manipulation
Right.
and the risk of investors getting burned.
Tweet from Kobe that was talking about projects offering discounts to influencers
Oh, wow.
for promoting their tokens.
That's troubling.
Yeah, so...
Those practices are worrying because they erode trust in the market.
Yeah.
If people feel like the game is rigged,
Right.
they're less likely to participate.
It makes sense.
And that has far-reaching implications for the legitimacy and stability of the entire crypto ecosystem.
And speaking of market manipulation. There's this thing called token unlocks.
Oh, yeah, token unlocks.
What are those?
Token unlocks refer to the scheduled release of a predetermined number of tokens into the circulating supply.
Okay, and why? Is that a big deal?
Well, these unlocks can create selling pressure in the short term.
Oh,
Imagine a large number of tokens suddenly becoming available.
right.
If those holding the unlocked tokens decide to sell,
Mm-hmm.
it can drive down the price.
Okay.
Investors need to be aware of upcoming unlocks and their potential impact on price action.
So that's just another thing you got to keep your eye on.
Right.
But besides all this craziness, was there anything good happening this week?
Actually, yes, there were a few standout performers.
Okay, like what?
EOS had a strong showing,
Hmm.
which some attribute to a recent conference in Thailand
Okay.
that generated some positive buzz.
Interesting. EOS has been pretty quiet, up until now.
Indeed, sometimes it feels like the crypto world has a very short memory. What's hot one day can be completely forgotten the next.
Totally.
But there are always cycles and trends to watch.
And speaking of that, there are some upcoming token unlocks.
Oh, right.
We should probably talk about
Yeah, what are those?
our chain,
Oh,
which is a new project that
Yeah.
just launched. They're about to unlock 12% of their circulating supply
oh,
through an airdrop.
interesting.
And then you've got Sandbox,
Yeah.
which is a metaverse platform.
Uh-huh.
They're unlocking 8% of their supply,
Wow. And what's that for?
primarily for advisors and their team.
Right. And remember what we discussed about token unlocks.
Yeah,
These events could create some downward pressure on prices in the short term.
right.
However, it's important to remember that token unlocks are a normal part of the crypto lifecycle.
Okay.
It's all about managing expectations and understanding the potential impact on market dynamics.
So even with all the craziness, there's still good opportunities out there,
Absolutely.
but you just got to be aware of the risks.
You have to be aware of the risks and do your due diligence.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is power,
Yep.
especially in a market as volatile and ever-changing as crypto.
You mentioned earlier the macro environment,
All right.
and there were a couple of events last week
Yeah.
that could affect things.
Certainly.
Can you go into a little more detail on that?
Well, the U.S. unemployment rate came in lower than expected,
Okay.
which is generally seen as positive.
Yeah.
However, the economy added fewer jobs than anticipated.
Oh, so it was a mixed bag.
It was a mixed bag of data, and the markets reacted accordingly with some uncertainty.
Yeah. Is there anything else on the macro front we should be looking out for?
Definitely. On Wednesday,
Okay.
we have the release of the Consumer Price Index data,
Okay.
which gives us insight into inflation.
Right.
The previous reading was 2.9%,
Mm-hmm.
and the expectation is for a slight cooling to 2.8%
Okay.
the day after we get the producer price index,
Right.
another key inflation indicator.
So two big inflation reports back to back.
Exactly.
I'm sure the Fed will be watching that very closely,
I imagine so.
especially as they decide about interest rates. So if inflation remains high, they might keep raising rates,
Right.
and that could push crypto down.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
Right.
The macro environment plays a significant role in shaping the landscape for crypto.
Okay.
And understanding those broader forces is crucial for making informed investment decisions.
Now, tying this back to the altcoin season, some analysts are saying that we won't see a true altcoin rally until the Fed kind of changes course
Right.
and eases up on monetary policy.
That's a view shared by a number of analysts.
Okay.
It all comes down to liquidity,
Uh-huh.
when money is cheap and readily available.
Right?
As it is during periods of QE, risk assets tend to benefit.
Okay.
Conversely, when the Fed is tightening monetary policy, it can create headwinds for those riskier assets.
It really does all come back to the Fed.
It does.
So we've talked about it a lot today.
Right.
Bitcoin staying strong, altcoins struggling, politics, Trump,
Yeah.
meme coins, the macro environment.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah. So what are the big takeaways?
Well, I think it's safe to say that the crypto market is in a period of transition.
Yeah. And what's driving that?
Well, Bitcoin appears to be solidifying its position as a more mature asset class,
Okay.
attracting institutional interest and gaining recognition as a potential store of value.
Okay. So it seems like Bitcoin is doing okay.
Bitcoin seems to be doing all right.
But it sounds like altcoins really have something to prove.
They need to prove their value proposition
Right.
in this evolving landscape
Right.
or risk being left behind.
And with all this meme coin hype
Yeah.
and this potential market manipulation,
Oh,
what do you think the future holds?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
Will we see stricter regulations to protect investors and promote fair play?
Mm.
Or will crypto maintain its decentralized Wild West spirit?
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting
It is a fascinating debate,
to see how it all plays out.
and one that will likely continue for years to come.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes crypto so interesting.
It's like watching history being written in real time.
Exactly. We are really
We're witnessing the birth of a new financial
the
system.
birth of a new financial system.
And
Wow.
there are bound to be challenges along the way,
Of course.
but the potential for innovation and disruption is enormous.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, I hope that this has been a good overview of what's going on in the market.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just a starting point.
Yeah, don't stop here.
Keep asking questions,
Yeah.
stay curious,
Uh-huh.
and most importantly, make informed decisions based on your own research and risk tolerance.
Great advice. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We'll see you next time. Happy investing.